Hi everyone. Today we're going to be playing Bounty of One. This is a kind of fun little shoot 'em game, kind of like Vampire Survivors, and this is my first time playing it. I did a few runs during this video, so I only showing the one where I actually won though. So not a lot to it. There's a few different options. I've only played the Bounty Hunted, but I'll try the others later. This is a pretty fun game. I'm really into these type of games right now. So I've only got the first person unlocked, so in that case I'm just gonna go with them, but be interested to see if some of the other characters are fun to play as well. And as far as the options are concerned, I'm not really using any of the extra options in here. I just want to kind of play it the standard way before I mess with those, but it looks like there's some fun things you can try there, like the extra experience. So this game is going to be very similar to Vampire Survivors or Soulstone Survivors. There's a lot of games that are going to be similar to this that are out right now that are pretty fun. This one starts pretty slow, so at the very beginning, say 20-30 seconds, you can really just sit there and build up some kills here so that you have some of the money to pick up. So I just do that for a few minutes here, and then once it gets in, everyone starts closing in on me. That's when I start to run around and pick up some of the loot here. So that'll get me to the point where I can start getting my first upgrade. And what I found is damage is real important early on. So gain more damage was an awesome option for this run. So it just helps me to knock these guys out in one shot versus 2 or 3 shots. So that's the way you hopefully want to be able to start playing. I like to do the crit, but I also try and go for the higher end ones, like the cooldowns are pretty good too. The dash is something you don't use a whole lot early on, but as you get higher into the levels here, it can be very useful to have. So alright, so we got our first boss here. If we can kill this guy, then we're going to be able to get a treasure box, and that'll hopefully give us something good to get the run going here. Unfortunately, sometimes you kind of have to kite everyone around for a little bit to get to the point where you can do that. So you'll see once I finally kill him, at least I can get to him here. Sometimes you have to still kite around to get back to the treasure box. So in this option, I don't really like this option, even though it's a good one. It just doesn't work very well. So this lightning strike is a nice one, because if you just keep running like I usually do, it takes out a lot of just kind of extra enemies for you. So that's a pretty nice one to have. And in here, I believe I'm just going to pick the range, because the range is definitely nice when you're trying to attack everybody from far away. Plus, it's great to pick up all the extra tokens here. So that was piercing, and piercing is a pretty good one to have, especially when you get a whole group of them lined up, because then you can just shoot the one in the front and hit all of them. And as your damage gets up, that makes it a lot easier to clear all the guys. One thing you'll notice is it doesn't really shoot when you're running, so you have to stop in order to shoot. So no real good options here. Usually go for more damage, and unless I need some speed. This guy's gonna give us a loot box here. Let's see what we get. Yeah, we're definitely gonna go with the one with the 2 projectiles. That allows us to get basically double the shots. And I don't really have a lot of crit in this build, but you know, when you get an epic and there's nothing else great, it's a good option to go with. This build did pretty well for me, but there is a build that has a lot of crit chance in it, and it lowers your damage, but it gives you a ton of extra crit. So that's a fun build. I'll try and post a video of that soon. Alright, let's see what we get here. Extra attack speed, yep, that's the one I'm probably going to go with. I love the magnets, but the extra attack speed is the one to go with. Yeah, as you get a little bit higher level here, it starts to pick up as far as what you can do. So, like I said, I normally go for more damage. Of course, do need to start collecting some health at some point. But definitely need the damage to be able to start killing these guys quicker. You can see how fast this guy is when he's chasing you. Definitely going with damage there. Just too hard to kill these guys, and you see how fast he keeps up with me. The nice thing is it gets him with the lightning. This one is kind of cool. It reminds me of some of the other games I've played, where it just creates this projectile whirlwind and it builds up these bullets essentially. So once you get them built up pretty well, it's pretty nice because you can run through some crowds and take out some of the folks. But unlike other games I've played, this is something that has to be replenished. That's a nice option, just gives you some more choices every time you level. I wouldn't take it too far on in the game, but it is nice when you get it earlier on, just because it gives you a lot of choices. You can see the bullets are starting to build up here, so that'll create basically a big whirlwind around me, and if you ever increase your area, then that just becomes a larger area. Make it a little bit easier, give you a little bit more of a buffer from everybody. Shoot behind you. Now that's a nice one. We're gonna go with that. And just going with more damage. I just don't have enough crit built up to put the points into the extra crit damage. If I had, say, 20% or more crit, it might be worth it, but right now I just don't think it's worth it. You can see how fast this is with shooting arrows behind him and in front of him. And he's got the little barrier of bullets there. So it's starting to get a little bit better now. So in here, I think we're going to go with the extra pierce. Anytime you crit now. This is the point at which you got to decide you want to start putting more crit on. But, you know, when you got an epic or purple attack speed, you kind of got to take that one. Alright, now that's good. Getting your projectiles to bounce another time. That's definitely helpful when they're bouncing off the screens or bouncing off of the enemies to, you know, help keep them going there. You see I got a lot of projectiles going. That makes it a lot easier for you to stay alive. And we're starting to get to the point where it'll slow down a little bit when you're leveling. I mean, I'll probably get up to 20 fairly easily, but it starts to get pretty slow getting levels at that point. So that's a lot of extra range and pickup, so I go for that just because as leveling slows down, it's nice to be able to get as many of the gold pieces around you, gold and silver pieces, that you can to try and keep yourself leveled. These little guys that are skeletons, I'm killing them pretty easily, but they'll throw their head at you and that can really take you out sometimes, so you got to watch out for that. And you see here I just kind of went ahead and went with the crit chance, since I do have that other option I chose earlier that gives me more damage based on my crit chance. So I went ahead and went with that option. And you can see there when you build up a lot, it kind of puts them into like a big sack of gold for you. Maximum health by 2. That's probably needed at this point. I probably should have got some health earlier, but you know, 2 extra health doesn't seem like much until you consider the fact that it's basically 50% more health than I had. So definitely worth getting that, especially once you start to fight some of these bosses. I'm very happy to have the extra health. Yeah, on this guy, he got me a few times, but it didn't kill me. So it's you know, it's good to have that health in case you just start off with 3, I think, and it can make it pretty hard to survive a boss fight like this. So pretty much just have to kite and shoot when you can. Any of the auras around you are nice just because they can do damage as you're running past them. But other than that, you pretty much have to just block the skulls when they throw them and keep yourself moving. You can see right there that one spawned on me and took me down a little bit. But yeah, just have to keep a constant lookout because they can come up out of anywhere. This guy's almost dead, so we'll get him in a minute and then see what kind of nice upgrades we get. Come on, almost there. Alright, what kind of awesome stuff do we get? Rerolls are nice. I'm not really big on the dash. But this last one is probably the route to go here. These big bullets here can really do a lot of damage if they hit anything. So they'll shoot out like every 30 seconds around you, basically out the front and back based on the setup I've got right now. And you can even follow them on the screen to see if they can clear out other people. I do that at one point, but yeah, like right here, but it doesn't really help too much unless there's already enemies there. So it's not really worth following all the time unless you see there's just a big group of enemies, and then it might be worth your time. But it's just nice to have them when you start getting into a big crowd because they can clear out a path for you. And all these are mediocre except for the health, so definitely good to start building that health up too. Make a big difference once you start getting a lot of people on you. Seems like those big bullets don't go the way you want them to, but you know, they still do some damage. So, in this one, I think we're going to go with the hill when we dash. It's just helpful to have it, especially when you start getting crowded, to be able to have that extra hill. These guys can be really annoying. They start tossing the dynamite. You know, you can do some extra damage sometimes just sitting there with some of your skills, but you've got to keep on the move with those guys. And of course, it's hard to pass up when you've got a legendary, so that extra range is helpful. You can see it made my bullet shield a little bit bigger as well. extra health is really helpful at these higher levels, so I think that's the route I gotta go here. Seems like there's always a bunch of areas where you leave hearts, so usually try and go back and find those, remember where they're at, so I can fill up my gauge once I get hit a few times here. These guys with the dynamite are such a pain. You gotta keep running constantly in order not to die from them. Alright, here we go with the sheriff. This guy and his dynamite. This is why I started collecting health. This guy can get pretty crazy, and it's hard to stay away from all of that dynamite. It's not so incredibly hard to stay away from the dynamite as much as it's hard to stay away from the dynamite and actually still attack the boss, since you have to stay still. And then these little trails he does can be kind of hard to miss sometimes as well. But I started this with 10 full life, and you'll see when I get to the end of it just how much he takes away from me. And it's like, if you just stop for a second and let me shoot you. So you really want to try and line up like the little protection bullet aura that I've got going there. You really want to try and line that up with the boss when you can shoot him, just so you get that extra damage on him. But of course you have to keep watching out for the dynamite, which is constant. So getting him pretty good, and I swear I feel like I'm going to take him out, and he always runs back under the sand there to try and bomb me. You just can't get impatient with this guy. You just got to keep moving and take your shots when it's safe. I mean, there's very little time when it's safe, but still, that's the only way to try and beat this guy. Of course, it took down half my life so far, so I mean, you know, who am I to say anything? Right when I think I got him. Oh, of course. Back underground. Alright, we should get this guy next time he pops up at least. Come on, stop trying to kill me. There we go. Awesome. So that's technically the end of the game. This is the first time playing it. I didn't realize it would be over already. But they let you keep playing and just kind of warn you that it could be buggy, you know, that you know, you might have problems, and it does get a bit harder because you just start getting a lot more build up of people. So let's see, some pretty awesome options here. You got your triple shot but reduces your attack speed, and then you got an aura that damages people near you. I really wanted to try the aura, but the triple shot is the one that seemed like it's going to make a big difference. So, you know, that's the one I went with. And you can see it here, it's triple shot on everything, including the, you know, huge bullets that you got. But it becomes much harder to kill everybody now. So even though you've got this triple shot, you're not killing the guys, and it becomes a bit harder at this point. So at this point, it's really just running around and trying to stay alive. There's no real extra to do unless you can just pick up some more chests, that kind of stuff from leveling up. but it takes quite a bit longer to level up as well. So, you know, this one can just take a while. This is more of a just survival game and see how long you can make it. To be honest, it's as they start getting real busy and everyone starts getting around you, it gets pretty hard to stay alive. And you're getting just the same normal chances. I should have re-rolled here. Of course, didn't even cross my mind that I had those re-rolls from earlier. So that's how it goes. Then we've got our bombing guys, and you can see all these guys are really starting to get pretty dense, the crowd at least. So you just kill slower because the enemies have picked up, and then I've got the slower attack speed. It just makes it so much harder to stay alive. So this is where your dash finally comes in handy. I just never really use it a lot. Maybe I should use it more. I haven't been playing that long, so it's probably got a lot more uses, especially if you look at some of the options you can get playing the game where dashing will actually buff you or give you additional damage, additional attack speed, that kind of stuff. So right now I don't think I have any of those that actually do anything to buff you. So it's really more of just having it to get out of the way whenever you start getting crowded. Now you can see it's starting to get fairly crowded here. It's going to start getting harder from this point to try and stay alive. Just not killing quick enough. You can see my bullet shield is pretty much gone. It's not really able to build back up. And if I was just mowing these guys down, it'd be a different story. But there's just far too many of them hitting me, and I'm just not killing fast enough. So this pretty much is the beginning of the end, just trying to stay alive. And the dash, I'd like to say just keep using it, but the dash is on a cooldown, and you can get extra dashes, but I do not have those in this run, so it just makes it a little bit harder to stay alive. And usually I'm pretty good about maneuvering around everybody, but a little lag spike there at the end, they actually mentioned that, doesn't help. And it just becomes much harder to get around everybody because there's so many different guys being spawned. Even I got these extra hearts, it's still not good enough to really keep me alive. The extra pierce is good, but it's still not going to be enough to really kill folks. I could have used a much higher damage. That would have been very helpful to take these guys out. So next run I'm going to try and see if I can just get a lot of damage for once I get to the end part here. Of course it'll help with everything, but yeah, these guys are still pretty dense. It's hard to avoid everyone without getting hit. Like I said, you only get so many dashes. And I'm out. Not too bad. I think this was my 5th run before I actually got a win on the game. I died early on in several of them, but I'm really loving this game. I think you all should try it if you haven't tried it before. It's $5 on Steam, so I mean, if you're looking for something that's cheap and fun to play, great for the Steam Deck, I'd highly recommend this one.